Hi everybody, welcome back to Best of British Blackwell. Today, got a little bit of a treat for you. I'm going to be cooking up some of the meat that was kindly sent to me by Martin's Meats. You'll recall I did a little unboxing video where I show you how they package their meat and so on, and now we've got a decent little bit of weather. I'm in the outdoor kitchen and we're going to be cooking up the lovely Jacob's Ladder barbecue beef ribs that they sent us. So the way I'm going to be cooking it today is on my Kamado Joe over here. I'm going to show you the setup for that in just a moment. But for those of you that don't have a Kamado Joe or a big green egg or a Kamado grill, these are just as easy to do in the oven, and I'll talk you through how you would do it in the oven just as well as how you do it in the Kamado, but hopefully these are going to turn out lovely. So let's make a start. So firstly, let's talk through the setup for the Kamado. We're not going to be smoking these ribs today, not these barbecue ribs, or beef ribs, sorry. Keep calling them barbecue ribs, but that's what they'll end up being anyway. We're not going to smoke them, we're literally just going to cook them as over the charcoals, but with the slow roller. So I need to get the slow roller out. I need to put that over the top here, just in place. Fortunately, it's not too hot at the moment, otherwise I'd have had to have the heat-proof gloves out for that. Then we get our rack on here, and I'm going for a nice basic setup today, nothing too fancy, literally the barbecue racks on here, and I'm closing down the vents until I get this to around about 125 degrees Celsius, which hopefully you can see it's practically there now. So let's go and have a look at this meat. So here we go, this is what we're going to be cooking with today. This is a 2-bone piece of Jacob's Ladder beef rib. Like I said, sent to me very kindly by the guys at Martin's Meats. I will be putting a link in the video below here so you can check these guys out. They are fantastic. All of their produce looks absolutely superb. This is the first time I'm actually cooking with it, so it'll be a real good test. Beef short ribs or Jacob's Ladder ribs, you know, some people can be put off of cooking these because they just don't know how to do it, or they can also be put off just by the look, because you know you've got a bit of fat on there, which I've trimmed off a little bit as well, and people don't realise that this piece of meat here works quite hard during the lifetime of the cattle, so it can be quite tense piece of meat, so it's got to be cooked for a long time. But if you put the effort into this, you'll reap the rewards, because it's a fantastic piece of meat once it's cooked properly. The trick with it is low and slow. That's why we're trying to cook at 25 degrees on this. So what have I done to it so far? So I gave it a little bit of a marinade last night. I rubbed it with Worcester sauce to act as a binding agent and make sure the rub sticks, and I used some Angus on it, Black Gold. I love this stuff, works really well with beef, really helps to bring out the flavour, and it can withstand a nice long cook as well. So what we're going to do now is just get a little bit more on there. And then finally, when we get to the back end of this cook, I'm starting to use a lot of this stuff at the moment, which has been made by the Dust Brothers. You're going to be seeing there, or Dust Bros, you're going to be seeing them a lot lately, and keep an eye on our page. We're running a bit of a promotion with them where they're launching their products. This barbecue banger is a really nice, sweet, barbecue style rub, which is going to finish this meat off lovely, but we'll use that and talk a little bit more about that at the end. Now, we're ready to get this onto the barbecue. Now, as we get this onto the grill, I need to do 2 other things. I need to set my temperature probes in here so I can keep an accurate reading on the temperature of the grill. So I use my grill clip there to make sure that one is inserted properly. Then we bring our meat over, and I'm going to put it smack bang bone side down in the middle of the grill like that. And then our second probe here is going to go into the meat, and I'm going to slide it right into the heart of the meat in between the 2 bones, so I get a nice accurate reading of the meat temperature and not the bone temperature, because that will burn, that will cook a little bit hotter than the actual meat. So what we do now is connect these up and turn this on, and I'm not really looking to open the lid again on this barbecue, or on this Kamado, keep calling it barbecue. I'm not really looking to open the lid on this again for another couple of hours. This cook could take 3 hours or 4 hours, maybe even 5. It doesn't matter, just let it do its thing. We might wrap these a little bit later if we're looking to get a bit more moisture in there. In fact, we probably will wrap these, but really we're not looking to touch this now until that internal temperature gets to around about 80 degrees centigrade. That's when I want to have my first look. And obviously this probe here gives me an accurate reading of what the grill's actually doing, so I can keep an eye on the temp and adjust the vents based on that. We want to get this to about 125, so let's crack on. Okay, so we're a good couple of hours into this cook now, and I want to open up the grill just to show you what we're looking like at this stage. Now, hopefully you can see, let's give you a little bit more of a close-up there, but hopefully you can see here that we are starting to get the right effect on this meat. And what's starting to happen is the meat is almost starting to swell up a little bit, and that's where the muscles kind of contracted and pulled together a tad. What you'll also notice here, and this is the second thing that we're looking for that shows us a great deal of progress, is that the meat is starting to pull away from the bone. Okay, now the readings that we're getting at the moment are of an internal temp of about 65, which is really good, heading in the right direction, but nowhere near done yet, and that the grill is dropping in temperature a little bit. So I'm going to adjust my vents, I'm going to let the temperature pick back up, and then we're going to leave it for another couple of hours. I'm still not going to wrap it yet. There'll be a lot of people saying, oh well, I would wrap that now. I only start to wrap when the meat starts to lose moisture, and you'll know that the meat starts to lose moisture because this grill would be smoking and juices from the meat would be falling onto the plate below. It's not doing that at the moment. You can hear there's not a sound at all, so no juices are releasing. The whole idea of wrapping is that you maintain moisture. We're not losing any moisture here, so I'm quite happy. We're probably still another couple of hours away from this being anywhere near done, so let's just let it go. Okay, so we're going really, really well. The meat is cooking really, really nicely. Let me take you over. Now, can you hear that? Can you hear that sizzling? Hopefully you can. That is where some of the juices from the meat is now starting to escape, and that is when I decide to wrap this meat up so I don't lose any moisture. And I do that very simply using some butcher's paper. So I take the meat from the grill, I remove the temperature probe that's in it at the moment, and I literally bring it over. It's not too hot to do that with my bare hands. And there we get another decent close-up at this actually. Let's have a little look, shall we? Yep, very pleased with how that's coming. Meat's pulling away really nicely from the bones. We've got really good rendering in the fat there. Now we're going to put our secondary layer of seasoning on there. And I'm going in first with a little bit of the Blues Hog Raspberry Chipotle, which is one of my favourites at the moment. I'm just going to give a good drizzle of that all over the top here. Not too worried about the sides yet, I just want this to get my rub on there. And then we're using the barbecue banger from Dust Bros. Dust Bros. Local boys to me, West Sussex, and they're doing some really, really good stuff. So let's get that on there. And now we're just going to wrap. The idea of wrapping is obviously to retain moisture, so you need to do that using a decent butcher's paper. This is a specialist butcher's paper. It's easy to get hold of. It's not so specialist that you won't be able to find it, but the reason that you use decent butcher's paper is that this has got some sort of kind of wax parchment in it as well, and it doesn't allow the moisture to escape. So all we're going to do is bring this together and fold it right down. I always do this really badly, I don't know why. I'm never any good at this part, but I like to fold it down like this so it always remains the correct side up. And then I fold the edges in like this. There we go, really badly. Don't comment too much on how badly I've wrapped that. And then what I do is I bring my temperature gauge back over, or my meat probe back over. If I can get it unstuck from my grill, and it goes back into the meat to give me my gauge on how we're doing, and that's back onto the grill. Close that. Ready for us to hit the internal temp of about 95, 96 degrees. So here we go, the ribs are off the grill now, and we're bringing them inside to rest. Hopefully you can see that by the temperature probe there, it's reading 93 on the inside. So we're going to let these rest now, we're going to let them sit, we're going to let them bring back into the meat all of the juices that's sitting inside that butcher's paper at the moment, and I would say in about 30-40 minutes time we'd be ready to eat these. So it's at this stage that, for whatever reason, probably my own silly fault, my microphone stopped working, or I just didn't turn it on. So apologies for the voice over here. But just having a little close up now on these ribs while I unwrap them. I'm talking here about the way the bone has moved, the meat has moved away from the bone, and just how kind of juicy they look. That's all down to that butcher's paper, as you can see, which has retained a lot of that moisture. I cut the ribs down the middle here just so you can see how they've cooked, how that fat has rendered. You know, you've got a nice layer of fat running through the middle there, but you've got two good big slices of meat in there too. You can see it's very moist, it's very succulent, it's really, really nice. This other rib here, which was a little bit bigger, I cut this down the side just again so you can see a side profile of this as well. It's cutting really nice. These are nice sharp knives, but you can see obviously towards the outside of the joint there, you're going to see that it's a little bit more done than it is towards the middle, but you get that with any joint of beef. The meat's moving away from the fat really nicely there. These could have gone a little bit longer. I could, if you want them full off of the bone, I suppose that they could have gone in for another hour or two, and they would have been there. And just removing some of the sinew off the back of the bone there. So this is what I decided to make with the beef ribs after everybody had a little bit of a snack. My daughters really loved this. It was absolutely superb. I decided to make a nice beef rib sandwich. Loaded that bread up with some butter, some horseradish sauce, and obviously chopped up the beef rib quite fine. I made the night before some kind of curried onion marmalade, some sweet curry onion, and I made it into a beautiful sandwich. And let me tell you guys, it was superb. This meat was really delicious. It was really well textured. It tasted absolutely superb. It cooked really well. I was really impressed. Give Martin's Meat a go, please. Visit their website. Details are below, and you will get a 10% off if you use the code OutdoorBarbecue10. They are absolutely fantastic. Big shout out also to Dust Bros, who are giving 20% off on our page at the moment. So that's incredible as well. Thank you to them. Details of all the links and all of the recipes kind of below, and I will see you again very, very soon.